In my last video, I showed you the sights and sounds of my hometown of Stony Point, New York, and I was very proud of how that video came out. And like I mentioned, Stony Point has really made a big impact on me as to who I am today, and it's given me a lot of memories that I can look back on with a smile. I also mentioned that Stony Point is one of 5 towns that makes up Rockland County. Another town that makes up Rockland that I mentioned in the video is called Haverstraw, which is located literally right next to Stony Point. And just like Stony Point, Haverstraw has beautiful nature and sights and sounds to see. Haverstraw also has one site, however, that has a little bit of a dark history to it, and this place is called Letchworth Village, and that's going to be the topic of today's video. So, without further ado, I'm going to take you guys back in time and talk about the history of this place, and I'm going to show you what it's like today. So, without further ado, Letchworth Village. Opening in 1911, Letchworth Village was a 130 residential building institution designed to provide care and support for the physically and mentally disabled. It took in 2,000 plus patients and had developed sayings such as an acre for every patient. At first, Letchworth thrived and was seen as a model institution for how the disabled should be tended to. Plus, the peaceful and beautiful landscape Haverstraw possessed enhanced its credibility and image. However, its success wouldn't last forever. The institution suffered due to it being severely overcrowded, which led to inadequate funds and scarcities in staff members. This would also lead to abuse in the way patients were treated. The superintendent of Letchworth, Dr. Charles Little, was extremely abusive and referred to the disabled as morons, idiots, and imbeciles. Additionally, because of the overcrowding, nurses only had about half an hour to feed the patients their meals. To ensure that they ate, they sometimes would shove food down the patients' throats, leading to some choking deaths. The staff members themselves were also abused, as some were raped by their co-workers. The kids themselves were perceived as abnormal, and therefore subject to being treated more like objects rather than human beings. The way they were buried was especially heartless, as the bodies were given just serial numbers and buried in a small cemetery concealed in a forest.
Way to Bear Mountain is a lovely looking place called the Letchworth Village Rehabilitation
In 1972, then investigative reporter Geraldo Rivera released a documentary film called The Last Disgrace. The documentary briefly showed Letchworth and displayed some gruesome and disturbing footage. The conditions of Letchworth were dirty, crammed with insufficient amounts of clothing, bathing, and other human needs. There was also no education being taught and very little regular activities going on to keep patients busy.
We don't have the help to keep the kids properly dressed.
Despite this, Letchworth for the most part remained unchanged for the next 2 decades until it finally closed its doors for good in 1996. Today, the buildings rot away, and some say that spirits of these patients still live within the walls of these buildings. In 2011, the Travel Channel's popular television show Ghost Adventures filmed a paranormal investigation at Letchworth.
Listen to this voice as I listen to it with you. This is what I believe it to be saying, and after hearing it, this investigation changes on a dime.
This place really gives me the chills, honestly, to walk through it. And just the buildings themselves are just kind of creepy to look at. When you walk around Letchworth, you really just get a sense of sadness around you. You just look around and you see all these buildings rot away, and it just really hits you hard knowing what happened. And It's tough to see. It really is. This is a very, very sad place to visit. Not a lot of good history here. And it was just a bunch of people just trying to do a good deed and helping those who were mentally and physically disabled, and it just went totally wrong, unfortunately. And yeah, it's been closed now for 24 years. And yeah, it's just a sad story. But yeah, I think I'll just leave it as that. It's just unfortunate what happened, and I feel bad for anybody who was involved, whether you were, whether you were a nurse or, a patient. I totally feel sorry, for what happened. But that's the video. I know this was a very sad video, and I apologize for that. I know usually my videos are a little more upbeat than this, but yeah, this was Letchworth Village, and very, very creepy place to visit, and a very sad place to visit. But still, this is not what Haverstraw is all about, or Rockland County. This is just one piece. Haverstraw is so much more than this, and so is the rest of Rockland County, New York. So don't think this was all that it has to offer. It's not even close. Don't be so quick to judge, as usual. So yeah, if you're able to subscribe or give me a comment, what do you think about the video? It'd mean a lot to me. Take care and see you next time.